Okay, welcome along to the very first show. First edition, number one episode of Crypto Update with one of the original hard forkers, Jesse. Welcome along, Jesse.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sean. And hello, people. Hello, crypto world.
Welcome. We finally get you in front of the camera. You were, in fact, the very first person I convinced to buy cryptocurrency way back in 2016. So.
I know. I mean, I've been doing videos in front and behind camera since as long as I can remember. But it is kind of strange. This is the first kind of real connection I've done with hard forking.
Welcome along. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
What we're trying to do with the show, people, is bring you a short, sharp, concise overview of what's going down in Bitcoin and crypto. We'll be bringing you news, opinion pieces, what you all want to hear. We've got an amazing trader joining us today as well to share her insights on the market and what coins she thinks might pop off. So stay with us. That's coming up. But Jesse, seeing as it's your first show with us here, I thought I'd make you happy with our first article we're going to have a look at. Tom Brady,
the GOAT,
Boston man. This is coming to us from the Boston Globe. I found this morning. Tom Brady launching his own NFT company. The NFT platform is called Autograph. The co-founder is a guy called Dylan Rosenblatt, and they will be bringing some of the world's most iconic names and brands onto that platform. So very much in line with what we're seeing out of NBA Top Shots. Look, the NFT space continues to grow. Jesse, are you in any NFTs? What do you think of that space at the moment?
Yeah, that's the funny part. I am in NFTs, and at the same time, I am not too shy to admit that it's still slightly baffling. I mean, especially since, to me, NFTs feel the same way kind of Bitcoin did in 2016, 17, where everyone started talking about it. Of course, That's the same now, but I've got coworkers, friends, older, younger, all trying to ask me what's NFTs. Jesse, you're in crypto. What's NFTs? And yes, I can say it's a non-fungible token. Yes, I can say that some of them are game characters and some of them are artwork. Then they say, yeah, but what does that mean? Why is it an NFT? And I start to kind of slow down and say, well, it means that there's a bit more ownership and proof of ownership, but then you can split it up. And they're like, yeah, but I heard you can turn part of your body in an NFT. And what is going on? I go, I don't fucking know. I don't know what it is.
It's a one-of-a-kind, people. You could consider an NFT could, to put in really simplistic terms, it could be you buying the domain name or golf.com or any domain name. That's one of a kind. It's digital real estate. Looking at what's gone down recently in NFTs, we've had British street artist Banksy burning and transforming a piece of his art into an NFT. We've had the Kings of Leon publishing the first band to launch an album as an NFT. We had Justin, son of Tron, buying Jack Dorsey's tweets as an NFT, $500K for that. Beeple, the famous one, $69 million. This really sums it up. If we have a look at, these are March figures, monthly change. Bitcoin up 30%, altcoins on average 39%, DeFi 17%, and NFTs a whopping 285%. So basically, NFTs outperformed all other sectors.
This isn't necessarily new news, but it's something that kind of can rally back to some hard forking history here. So yeah, it's about Elon Musk's Starbase. As we know, Joe Rogan and a bunch of other people have hightailed it out of California for a couple of different reasons, whether it be how things are being handled or taxes or whatever.
Austin's the new California, right?
Yeah, Austin is the new California, and Elon Musk is no exception. In fact, more so, he's actually trying to start his own community. And the reason I think this is extra interesting for hard forking is because if anyone's been following us for a while now, we actually were working with something like this out in Sofia, Bulgaria, but it almost seemed more doable over there. Is this even possible? I mean, especially in a place like America. I mean, it seems like there's so many restrictions over there, and part of the reason I got out of there and moved over to Southeast Asia. But he's really trying to put this together. And there's one interested party called Blockchains LLC, which owns 67,000 acres in Story County, right near Reno. And they want to set up a community relying heavily on blockchain technology. So it's interesting to see how these things are popping up more and more.
Yeah, well, I mean, we actually both. Well, I lived in a crypto community in Thailand for a while, a couple of years ago. I believe the guys behind that one will be looking to ramp that up again. But yeah, obviously we visited the one in Sofia in Bulgaria. I know our good friend Didi is actually looking at creating one out in Portugal in the near future.
Is he? I didn't even know about this one.
Yes, he is. Yep, we're going to have Didi back on the show very shortly. And actually a huge shout out to Didi, to Crypto, to Carl the Moon, and the other guys that were behind this charity event a couple of days ago. I was watching it live. They had raised $500,000 for 10 different charities during the live event. So we'll update you when we got Didi on in the next couple of days at what they ended up making. But really great to see that sort of thing happening in the crypto space, which so often is very self-centered and full of quite a bit of fuckery, in my opinion. But great to see those guys really giving back. And some of those boys actually, they were putting in tens of thousands of dollars of their own money. Didi, as we know, does that on the regular, has done for a number of years. In fact, Jesse, the very first video we made together about 4 or 5 years ago was with Didi.
That's right, and I mean, it holds a nice warm place in my heart. I really enjoy that video.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so coming up very shortly, we've got Leanne joining us, people, to look at some charts. Hopefully open up some decent investing opportunities for you there. But I've got to stress, obviously, the show isn't financial advice. You must do your own research. It's just our opinions and thoughts. Make your own minds up, people. Right, moving on. I just want to go a little more macro here. Look, here is a short clip of billionaire investor Peter Thiel talking about Bitcoin. Now, Peter says that he's a Bitcoin maximalist, but so there's a little bit of confusion around what he's actually saying in this video. But here, have a quick look, and we'll discuss that.
From China's point of view, they want to get. They don't like the U.S. having this reserve currency because it gives us, a lot of leverage over, Iranian oil supply chains and all sorts of things like that. They don't want the renminbi to become a reserve currency, because then you have to open your capital account and you have to do all sorts of things that they really don't want to do. I think the euro, you could think of as, was in part a Chinese weapon against the dollar. It didn't, the last decade it hasn't quite worked out that way, but that was, China would have liked to see two reserve currencies like the euro. And, even though I'm sort of a pro-crypto, pro-Bitcoin maximalist person, I do wonder whether at this point Bitcoin is also should also be thought in part as a Chinese financial weapon against the U.S., where it threatens fiat money, but it especially threatens the U.S. Dollar, and China wants to do things to weaken it. So it's sort of China is long Bitcoin, and perhaps from a geopolitical perspective, the U.S. should be a little bit be asking some tougher questions about exactly how that works.
Yeah, sort of segueing off Peter Thiel's comments, I really want to just to sort of go big picture here for you people. We obviously know that all this money printing is just out of hand. It's not something that can go on for too much longer, and it won't go on for too much longer. There has to be some sort of end to this, and we're obviously hearing about this Bretton Woods to the Great Reset, etc., etc. So I came across this article I wanted to share with you from the Entrepreneur's Handbook. There's a link below for you to read the full article. But effectively, in short, it talks about this US dollar reset triggered by a global currency called the SDR. Now, you're not going to find a hell of a lot of chatter about SDR, but believe me, it is happening. So a quick history of SDR. It was developed in the 1960s by the IMF. At that point in history, the IMF was afraid of a dollar crisis, obviously something that we've got back again now. In 71, President Nixon announced that dollars could no longer be used in exchange for physical gold. So we moved from the gold standard. What we then got was the American dream. Everyone could get a house, but that gave us massive lending, and it is now, unfortunately, time to pay the piper, as they say. The US Congress at the moment is favoring a $3 trillion allocation to SDR. It is something that Janet Yellen of the IMF is also pushing quite hard at the moment. Now, for a lot of you who have followed this channel for a very long time, I've talked about the attributes of Bitcoin being the only time in human history that we have a asset that you and only you are in control of. It's unconfiscatable. First attribute of Bitcoin. Second attribute of Bitcoin, it cannot be censored. You can use it to buy whatever you want. And the third attribute is obviously it is an asset where the supply is known. So from an investment point of view, you really only need to figure out demand. You know what the supply side is going to be. You also know the release schedule of Bitcoin and the fact there's only ever going to be 21 million. Hence, institutions coming into it as a inflation hedge as more money is being printed. Now, tying these two things together, you can obviously see how this could, in fact, become a threat to currencies moving forward. Do I agree with Peter Thiel's comments about it being a Chinese weapon? No, not really. But at the moment, we've gone from really a minuscule market cap. We've raced up to $1 trillion. Crypto overall has added a trillion just in the last couple of months. So look, Bitcoin will become something that regulators and governments are going to be having a close look at. The other reason I'm bringing up SDR is you've only got to look at how SDR could be used. And, the chatter is it could be used to price gold, commodities, debt, even cryptocurrency. So, you've got to look at how the smart money and what it's doing. Smart money at the moment is leaving paper assets, stocks, bonds, ETFs, paper gold that you can't actually touch, and it's moving into physical scarce assets, gold, silver, Bitcoin, land, real estate, and commodities. And I'm just seeing it with my own two eyes that so many people coming into the space now don't understand these attributes of Bitcoin and why they should have some. They want an altcoin. They want 100x. They don't have Bitcoin, and many don't even have Ethereum. I'm not giving financial advice here, but anyone watching this, especially if you're new to the space, you've got to understand why that number is going up. It's that third attribute. It's an inflationary hedge. Institutions are buying it up left, right, and center. You, as a sovereign individual, in my opinion, should understand Bitcoin and have some. Yes, get excited about your altcoins, but build that Bitcoin position, people.
There's a lot of people I know, even just close friends, that due to financial constraints with the climate we're in and all sorts of other reasons, getting into crypto just full start right now is a little bit difficult. Whether it be because they have a bunch of debts or things they need to take care of at the moment, and just simply getting into crypto would be just unrealistic because they don't have that kind of capital at the moment to get into it. Another stimulus check just came through. Finally, a lot of Americans are using these stimulus checks more so this round than ever before in terms of saving it. But it also sounds like the full amount goes to individuals earning less than $75,000 of adjusted gross income. And as it starts to go above that, no one's getting the check. But long story short, it's like, so a lot of people are taking this money and they're using it to pay off debts, or they're trying to, but the rest are trying to save it in some way. Obviously, we're a crypto channel. We would fully support the idea of investing in crypto. But there's a little bit of FUD involving that whole concept. Not to mention, I have friends who recently got into crypto and they want to use Uniswap to do some DeFi trading. They want to get some quick gains. They want to get rich, and gas prices are so astronomical that they can't even do that. I mean, like my friend just the other day, he tried to make a transaction to finally actually get some profits out of a recent. And it failed. So he lost $50. I think he lost half of what he was trying to get out of the whole situation. So, yep. I mean, this could be financial advice, which is cut back on consumerism, which is buying things like, a toy, a shiny toy, or, even the nicer car or the bigger TV. I think if people can kind of pull back on that and even maybe sell some of these things, it's probably beneficial, because in the end, that's how you can get into this crypto. That's how you can maybe just buy a little bit of Bitcoin, because people think that it's over, it's too late. No.
Yeah, and I just want to stress that point that, for having, as Jesse well knows, I was a Bitcoin maximalist for a number of years. In fact, this channel was purely Bitcoin for its first 4 years. But, I just want to stress the fact so many people come in and they look at the price of Bitcoin, and ultimately, it's that psychological thing of, I need to own a unit of something. So it's easy to look at some of these other cryptos and go, oh, it's only 0.001 cent. I can get rich off this thing. It doesn't work like that, people. The price is really actually quite irrelevant to how something can appreciate. And look, I want to stress this fact as well. Take a step back here. Bitcoin is up 100% in the last 3 months. So 100% so far this year. It's up 30% in the month of March. You don't have to own a whole Bitcoin. You can still make crazy gains on this. But I come back to those other two attributes of Bitcoin: its unconfiscatable nature and its uncensorable nature. Now, it's also the first time in human history that we've got a monetary system that's separate from state. For me, the importance of this asset as we go into, this post-COVID era, which is hopefully very soon. Unfortunately, for me, that is going to be could be some economic dark ages here. And I think holding an asset that is yours, that you are in control of, you are your own bank. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. It's going to become more relevant, more important to you. But now's the time to be planning, people. Build your Bitcoin stack. Not financial advice, but it's what I'm doing. So altcoins are great, people, and we're going to be talking about trading them just in a moment. But the reason I do that is it's a means to an end. I'm not endorsing many altcoins you'll hear us talk about. It's a way to increase your Bitcoin and also an Ethereum position, in my opinion. I'm actually cycling out of a lot of alts at the moment, taking some profits, putting them into Bitcoin and ETH. That's how I'm playing it. Jesse, any thoughts on how you are approaching the market? Bigger picture.
Yeah, I just like a lot of other people in this space, I definitely experienced the burn in 2017. I thought, whoop-de-doo, here we go, here comes big-time wealth. And then greed certainly was an ugly head that was reared at that point, and I didn't really think of the possibility of things coming down. And while everything came down, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, but the alts, those were the ones that if I was involved in any alts, they went down to basically nothing. I mean, if you looked at the price from the top into the bottom, where I had never sold, it was pretty brutal. So I think I'm sure a lot of people have said this, and a lot of other channels you guys have been watching, but it's certainly something to repeat, which is now that we've learned our lesson, it's better to start to allocate. What is the word?
Reallocate would be the word you're looking for, I think.
The best idea is to reallocate where these funds are. I mean, like, for instance, if you truly believe in a certain altcoin, then it's, by all means, it's good to not take completely your whole, chunk out. But it is good to, as Sean said, either put some into the king Bitcoin, or whether it be Ethereum or even Polkadot or whatever it is that you believe in, but also stable coins, also these sorts of things. So that's what I'm actually, really doing this time around, and I didn't do that before. So it feels good, even when you think that you might be getting out or moving a little too early. I always think a little too early is better than too late.
Correct. And I get a lot of people asking me, where are we in this bull market at the moment, this bull cycle? I guess really the position I have on that, certainly at the moment, is that you've got to understand that every market does have a cycle. Nothing goes up forever. Where this bull market is completely different to the 2017 market, we were speculating on ICOs back then, Jesse, weren't we? You're buying something that didn't actually have a use case. It was an idea. That's how that market was operating. This time around, very, very different. We're seeing this DeFi space, staking, yield farming, play to earn, which is a big, big favorite of mine. We cover Axie Infinity constantly on this market. These are all real use cases of these tokens. You're able to get a yield from them. These are real projects. So I don't see the huge crash, although I do see that huge crash and all these copycats, which is no different to the ICO boom of 2017. So for me now, that this next phase of this bull market is being quality projects, things that are actually generating a yield. I don't think they're going to get hit hard. In fact, they might not get hit at all. We're seeing this big institutional money come into Bitcoin. So yeah, while there will be big retracements, I consider that this trajectory will only go upwards. Okay. Now, probably the part of the show that most people have been waiting for, we're going to introduce you to the wonderful Leanne. Many of you might not know her, but I can assure you the trading community does. Leanne's a fantastic character. She's here with us today. So let's welcome Leanne. Tell us a bit about yourself and your style of trading.
Yeah. For those of you that haven't heard my story before, I started in 2017. I was trained by Chris Dunn. Many of you will know Chris Dunn. He's well known in the space. And I decided to get into crypto and trading. I used to be a teacher, but I was also interested in trading. So I kind of left that career and thought I'd embark full-time into crypto trading. So did the trading course, 2017, was ready to go full guns blazing into trading towards the end of 2017, right at the end of the blow off top of the bull market. So I think you know where that story goes. Lost a lot of it purely because I bought into narratives that were not appropriate for trading. So even though I was technically trained, I had to learn those things for myself. So I've spent the last 3.5 years honing my skills in the trading world and really finding what works for me, taking a little bit of everything. I use some moving averages that are a little bit wacky and support, resistance, trend lines, pretty basic stuff. I mean, there's so many tools out there, but I'm trying not to use too many, and I have a combination that works for me. So that's my trading history, and I'm involved in some communities here. And so yes, when we met a few years ago now in Singapore, I am definitely a trader. Love it, still love it, enjoying this bull market. There's still a few opportunities, but where the merry-go-round stops is yet to be determined.
Indeed. So what charts have you got for us today, Leanne?
Sean, this is my Bitcoin chart. We're on the 4-hour here. And, in further shows I can explain my methodology a little bit more. But what I thought was really interesting to point out today was the patterns that I see. I call this like the Batman pattern. We can see that this happened in March. And the exact same formation, and if I actually cover it and you just look at the patterns themselves, they're playing out exactly the same way. So I'm not overly concerned with what is playing out. If we break down past, the 53K mark, then, there's time to reassess things. But for now, for me, we're just having a pullback, a consolidation, and I'm not too worried about anything. And I'll look to scale in to some low leverage long positions when I feel comfortable to do that on a break of the trend line. But I've also got this marker here for April the 14th. And the reason I've put that marker in is that's when Coinbase gets listed on the NASDAQ. So I thought that was a really interesting, monumental day. So I'm curious to see how price action plays out in Bitcoin, whether it can consolidate and squeeze and we get a pop up. So I'm just keeping an eye on that. So that's my Bitcoin chart. This is my Tezos XTZ chart. And what I love to do with the charts is to make them fun. identify patterns, and I like to, people in my groups don't know me for my love letters that are intermingled with song lyrics. So just to, give the charts a bit of life and atmosphere. So Tezos, that's been a really long accumulation play for me, and I started back in 2019 and I was staking it. It's had a lot of trade opportunities. It's probably been the most frustrating coin in this cycle. But happily enough for me, it's started to break through its resistance, its all-time high resistance. So for me, it's a potential another double from here. I'll be looking at, the sort of $10 range to reassess. So if anybody hasn't entered a trade yet, this has had a nice little pullback too with Bitcoin. So it's the cup and handle here that I've identified. We've broken out from it and we've come back to retest the breakout zone. So it's actually a nice spot to scale in for a longer term swing, provided alts behave themselves, of course. So this is the ZRX chart, Sean, and the reason I'm bringing this one up is because I feel like there's still opportunity to make some money on this one. It hasn't quite pumped as hard as all of the others. I started scaling in at, the 40-cent range, let's say. But if you weren't in a trade yet, it's a really nice one to keep an eye on because I've got the breakout zone here. And keep an eye on this zone around the $2 mark because once we punch through that, it's very likely to head straight up to the $3 mark, the 100% extension on the Fibonacci. So, yes, if you weren't in a trade, this is a really nice one to watch. It's holding the channel here. But again, I would set some alerts in TradingView. You can do that quite easily and see where the breakout is. And it usually comes back to revisit this zone anyway if you do miss it. So I'll be keeping an eye on that one for people as well. The last one for today is Algo. Now, Algo has been a bit of a patience tester. It had a nice swift move up and then the consolidation zone's been quite long and drawn out. It's creating a new accumulation channel here. And I don't know if anyone can guess the song that I've written into my love letter here. It's, I believe, an 80s song. Someone, in the chat might be able to see if they can guess it. So this one to me, if again, it's all contingent on BTC and alts behaving themselves, this is a really nice place to manage some risk and take a spot long. If you're trading spot longs, I don't really encourage futures unless you know what you're doing. But this one's a really nice, safe play for at least to reach a 2x. So, yeah, that one, Algo, will definitely keep an eye on that, but that's ready to pop. That's like the best looking one to me. We've got some lower volume here and a rising price action, which is quite bullish. So Algo is a great one to enter if you're looking for a swing.
Thank you very much, Leanne, and it's great to have you on the channel.
You're quite welcome. Very enjoyable, and I look forward to catching up on some more charts and getting to know your audience a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you're welcome here anytime. I'm sure there's going to be a heap of people encouraging you to keep it up. And Jesse, thank you, sir. Also, your first proper appearance after 5 years on the channel of being the man in the background.
Right? It's about damn time. I can't be lurking in the shadows for my whole life.
Excellent. Well, listen, we hope you've all enjoyed watching the first episode of Crypto Update. We will be back with more for you all very soon. Join us tomorrow for the live show, giving away more Axie scholarships and some tokens as we do every Friday. So, Leanne, thank you. An absolute pleasure. Jesse, thank you, sir. And comments below, people. Let us know which charts you'd like to see next time. We will see if we can accommodate. Thank you all for watching. You're a great audience, great community. See you next time.